the ability to send an observer to each and every poll station to make sure that the polling station is being done accurately and appropriately, and those lists are open to see when those individuals vote. So if my name, Ian Capstick, is on one of the poll-by-poll lists here in town, as soon as I vote, it gets crossed off. Those political observers are behind. They cross it off as well, so they can know that they can stop phoning me to remind me to go vote.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, that we look at is something called electoral viability, right? So we've got voter efficiency. How fast can you get those people to the polls? Are they going to come out and vote for you? And then you have electoral viability. And here's where it becomes more interesting. That is the air war, right? So that is, do people believe you can be elected? Is it viable to elect these individuals as your government? So really that's where you see all of the political parties really fighting right now, is in that air war, in the spin, and what you're seeing in televisions, newspapers, on the radio, is all about electoral viability. And what's happening on the ground here in Centertown and all across Ottawa is voter efficiency. They're maximizing the efforts of their local organizing teams. Who's going to be driving whom to the polls? When is that going to be happening? When do the buses pull in front of the senior center to the community station to take everybody together? It's that voter efficiency that the ground folks worry about here at the local level, and then at the national level, they're working on that viability question.
Have you seen a huge transition from when you started politics to now in that kind of realm?
Technologically, yeah, of course. I mean, technologically, if you took a look at when I started in politics at the age of 15, which is... I first started reading Hansard at around the age of 12. It only cost $5. You sent $5 a year in the mail, and the House of Commons would send you a whole week's worth of the House of Commons debates. I was a little obsessed. It was pre-internet time. Wow. So then I first really got involved in politics in Edmonton in the 1990. In the 93 election. Oh my heavens. I'm old.
Same age as me, but it sounds.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the '93 election, I was a 1980 baby. So yeah. So by '93, I was really involved in politics, but with the Liberals. So yeah, I don't know. To me, this election is going to be very, very different than any of the other elections that I've been involved with, because we've never had a three-way race kind of like this before. So even if we're seeing the NDP slip back by anywhere up to about 5 or 6 points, they could be at around 24-25% and still come in with more seats than the Liberals. So what we might see at the end of all of this is a Liberal Party that has more of the popular vote but fewer seats, a New Democratic Party that has less of the popular vote but more seats, and Mr. Harper having not enough seats to hold a majority in the House, so thus being very tenuous. And then it comes down to who else is sitting in that kind of pizza parliament to make it all happen. That's never happened before, as far as I can see in Canadian politics.
Well, I hope it just comes out and it's good for Canadians.
Yeah. You made one comment that the my vote doesn't count. And I think that's a huge problem. It's from our age group, growing up, 80 baby, and coming down. Yeah. Do you see that changing? Is the voting demographic getting a bit younger now, as it should be? Sadly. But unfortunately, it's not. No?
So what's happened? So there was a slight uptick in youth vote last time around in the election, according to polls that came out by Elections Canada, but it was so slight that it was within the margins of error on those particular polls, which means not really there at all. The key question around young people voting and them believing that their vote actually matters comes down to a couple of different issues. One, if you're voting for the party that tends to win in that particular riding, you believe your vote matters because it just did. It elected that individual. So if you're a young conservative up in Orleans and you've been, past couple of elections voting for Royal Galipo, you feel pretty well represented. Now, if you're voting for the Marxist-Leninist Party, let's face it, you're never going to feel well represented, because even under a proportional representation system, we're never going to have any of those guys in the House or gals in the House. It's just not going to happen. They would never meet that minimum threshold. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, on the spectrum of engagement, the problem that we have right now is that there's naturally people that are going to sit at both ends of that. In other words, the hyper-engaged and people who feel like they're really represented will always be there. There will always be a smaller selection of people who don't feel engaged by the system and feel that they're not represented by the system. Yeah. The problem that we have right now is that there are too many people in the middle zone of all that, and that's called apathy. They're non-voters. They're the people I worry about. Yeah. I don't worry about people who actually get themselves to the poll to force themselves to vote for somebody who still don't believe their vote matters. They're still voting, and they're going to continue to vote because that's how voting behavior goes. Once you start voting, you very rarely stop voting. You may forget once or twice, but you generally become a voter. What I'm really worried about are the 18-year-olds in this election who feel so disenfranchised and apathetic about it that they don't become voters, that habit isn't instilled in them young, and then 20 years from now when stuff actually does matter to them, when they wake up and realize that they don't just want to go to a rave and roll on Molly, they really actually want to raise a family instead, then it starts to matter to them, and they don't know how to change the system, and they feel even more rejected by it because they haven't participated in it. So the solution to all of it, I mean, I know electoral reform is the solution, but that's in the long term. Oh my God, that's not, you need a solution tomorrow for this. I recommend, if you're in a swing riding, if you're in a riding and you don't want to have, Mr. Harper, for instance, elected, if what you're really after is you don't like that guy in blue up there, you go to a website called votetogether.ca, and you can see if there's a way that maybe voting for one of the progressive parties over another one might be able to take that guy out. Now, if you're, a Mr. Harper lover and you still believe that what this Conservative government doing isn't great, and the Duffy trials really bothered you, and some of the accountability issues have bothered you, then you need to get involved at that Conservative level. You got to go into the riding association. You got to tell them that. You got to go into the campaign office and say, I've been a long-time Tory voter and I'm not happy with you. And if you've been happy with the whole system and you love the way it's going, my God, you should listen again to this entire podcast. Started from the beginning and started all over again, because it is broken. I mean, I know that there's a bunch of people in Ottawa who are pretty happy with the way it's going, but I don't think that that's most people. If we take
I think most are just content even.
Yeah, or they don't know what's going on. They're happy to raise their kids and make sure everybody gets to daycare.
Well, and there's another comment that you might want to touch on is an uneducated vote worse than not voting at all? Like if somebody's just going in there and throwing a vote at somebody just for the sake of voting?
That's a Sophie's Choice is what that is. That's not fair. No, I don't believe in anything called an uninformed vote. I'm not willing to suggest that any one voter is so ignorant or so stupid that they don't know what they're doing. If they've decided to put casting their ballot beside that name, whether it's just because they liked the name or not, that's their right. I don't have any ability. I have an ability to persuade and to convince people that the issues that I'm passionate about and that I care about, they should care about and they should consider when they vote. How they go about choosing that and casting that ballot, as I've always said to every single one of my friends, when they ask me that awful question, the worst question you can ask me is, who should I vote for? Because I'll tell you, I don't know. And please don't just vote for the NDP.
Should be what you should vote for.
Exactly.
Right?
What are you voting for?
Everybody's different.
Whom are you voting for? Do you know your local candidates? And if you don't, why don't you? And maybe you should look at their websites and go to a meeting.
And go to tonight's Centertown debate at St. George Church in Westboro at 6:30 p.m. If somebody's listening to this, what is the best question? What kind of question? 2 questions that you would ask in Centertown riding. What would you ask?
Why are you really running? Why do you really run? Not why do you really run, and get them to get an emotional answer. And then the second single biggest one that I would say is, what are you going to do to address the inequality that is rampant in Ottawa? Mm-hmm. We are a homophobic city. Mm-hmm. We're a racist city.
Unfortunately.
And we need to solve this problem. And we can't shy away from saying these things. Mm-hmm. And we can't get angry at one another. We have to work towards some sort of common understanding where everybody truly gets along, so that we don't have any more incidents like we had with the Trans Lives Matter mural down at the corner of Somerset and Bank, so that we don't have any more outward discrimination against Canada's Indigenous people here in Ottawa. That happens every day. So I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. I hope they're hopeful too.
Well, did you attend, or did you the LBQ?
Yeah, I followed it really closely. On Twitter. I was on television, unfortunately, at the time, but I followed it really closely on Twitter.
So they did have that one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I love that they're engaging. I love that there was a Conservative there. I think actually the Conservative Party here in Ottawa should be really proud that they had somebody out for that debate. I think it was also really respectful. CUSA had a debate the other day as well. I heard that one was really respectful. So kudos to all of the Ottawa Centre candidates for debating as often as they have.
Yeah, 7 I think up there. And it's unfortunate on Monday at the Mayor's debate at 7 p.m. at City Hall. No Conservatives want to go. Maybe they'll change their mind over the weekend.
I think you should put a big turkey on the chair right in front of them there, but anyway, whatever.
That's good. So thank you so much, Ian, for coming on. I think get out there and vote, please. But I hope there really is change to the voting.
So do I. It was awesome joining you guys.
Thank you so much. I hope they really change these freaking rules and engage more. Maybe more maybe more debates at high schools and make it mandatory, because that's when you have the kids there. You force them to be there for an hour.
Yeah, you got it. And if folks are really interested in it and they want to send their kids and to really learn about democracy, they can go to Forum for Young Canadians, forum.ca. I'm on the board of directors there. It's a participatory democracy program for youth aged 13 through 17. We bring them here to Ottawa. They meet kids from all across the country. We mock role play the House of Commons. We show them what committees look like. Cool. And we teach them how to really influence the system. So if there's parents out there or teachers who want to get involved in Forum for Young Canadians, just email me at ian@mediastyle.ca and I'll make sure you get connected to the program. Because if you really want to instill those incredible democratic values in your kids, that is one of the single best ways to do it.
Right on. Yeah, and they engage with like-minded minds, and then they can go to Kevin Page's master's program as well, which I think is going to turn out some amazing politicians. Very quickly, events going on this city. Good riddance on Friday.
Yeah, don't miss it. Best show you'll see. Funny, we're talking about politics there, and then we're talking good riddance.
There you go.
Anti-politics. Well, maybe not anti-politics, but.
Zombie Run for Humanity is going on this weekend. That's going to be a fun one. Finally, there's a baseball training facility opening up in Ottawa. That's one thing I've always wanted to. Andrew, you're going to be pumped for that.
Yeah.
Playground party at Makerspace. Community record store Sunday at 11 at St. Anthony's. Grown-ups read things they wrote as kids. Sunday 3:30 at Yuck Yucks. That's always fun to listen to. Yep. And Robbie's running his first solo show Sunday at 8:30 at Oz Cafe. So Robbie from Fall Down Gear.
And of course, Beau's Oktoberfest.
And that's where I'll be.
Are the other Oktoberfests happening this week in Ottawa? Like the Barhaven one and whatnot?
Jen just let us know at halftime.
Oh, that's it.
All right, one more song from the Orienteers, May Queen Girl. Go to see them, orienteers.ca. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you, Andrew, for coming back. And Marty will be back next week where we talk to Rideau Pines Farm. It'll be a lot of fun. Cheers.
bridges away.